cousin, he did AK to fix himself. Okay, so I'm taking Darrick's time, so I'm going to make sure he gets his full hour. But this is important to say. So when he comes to me, I said to him, do you know what the 3 sins of a samurai are? Because he has samurai blood in his family. He says, no. I said, well, the first one is you talk too much. That doesn't apply to anybody here, right? The second one is you think too much. That doesn't apply to anybody here, right? So now the third one you must go find for yourself. So Darrick is the purveyor of the 3rd sin of a samurai. So if you want to know what the 3rd sin of a samurai is, you could ask the man sometime this weekend. And so then when he came to the office, I asked him this question every day for a year. And he never asked me why. So I want to introduce my friend Darrick Sahara, and I only have one question, Darrick. What size do you wear?
Large shirt, medium pants, 8.5 at that time, 8.5 suit shirt.
So now tell them why I asked you that question.
Because one day you will be part of a team, and that's exactly why I chose Dr. M. I wanted to learn from him.
Well, hold on. When they hired him, they take him down to the equipment manager, and the equipment manager says, what size do you wear? You need some gear for you to wear on the sideline. Seriously, that's the first question they ask you. What size do you wear? Woo. So if you only say an XL shirt, guess what? You only get the shirt. And for 3 months, that's all he said. I wear a large shirt. So then I finally said, don't you wear pants? He said, what size pants? So then finally, now the mantra is 7.5 hat, large shirt, 34, 32 pants, and a 10.5 shoe. Why? Because if you only ask for the shirt, you only get the shirt. If you ask for all the stuff, you get all the stuff. So if you want to know the 3rd sin of a samurai, you have to ask Darrick. He will tell you, and he might ask you what size do you wear too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I wanted to start with a story, and it's a true story. Dr. M said some of it. It's basically a story of how this all began, and how I connected with all these crazy, awesome Olympic athletes, NFL athletes, all across the country, not just California, celebrities, and it's just been an amazing ride. So it started back in 2003. I just recovered from a very rare form of testicular cancer called non-seminoma embryonic yolk sac carcinoma. It's about 1 to 3% of the young male population. 90% plus is the other one, seminoma, and that's the Lance Armstrong one. Lance just waited too long. So basically, mine was so small I didn't even realize I had it, other than I was really sick all the time, stressed all the time. But that's school, and you have to study, you're stressed about failing, and every weekend I was flying out to see all these geniuses in the room, because I wanted to be the best I could be for my patient. And so I followed all the best. Evan was one of them. And so it starts off, I recover from cancer, and then miraculously, I was able to finish up chiropractic school and graduate on time, because I think I was diagnosed about 4 months before graduation. And in that time, stress causes any illness. And I was under tremendous stress, studying for boards, trying to get through school, but AK was my first love and only love. And I asked Julie I would fly out to San Jose to see Dr. Francis, then I'd be in Marina Del Rey for Dr. Robert Blake, and I was going nuts with this stuff. I just loved it. And I'm here today because of that. So thank you, Bob, and thank you, Dr. Tim, who can't be here today, because Dr. Tim was the one that actually helped cure my cancer. So after that, after I graduated in April of 2003, it's about late summer, late August, I finally get my dream job. I get to hang out with Evan and Sandy at the Mladenoff Clinic in Overland Park, Kansas. I uproot my life. I don't know anybody in the Midwest. I don't know anybody. And ask Rob, I'm a very West Coast LA person. I don't want to travel. I mean, LA's is it. So, I was Dr. M's pesky shadow, and he adopted me, and you know, it's just been an amazing experience, and just amazing, awesome ride. So thank you, Daimyo, again. And then after that, shortly after that, in 2003, I was contacted by USC, a 5-star safety from Long Beach Poly by the name of Darnell Bing. He just retired maybe a couple years ago with the Raiders, but he was a 5-star athlete, a strong safety. And at that time, the secondary coach was a good friend of mine, or acquaintance of mine, who now happens to be my pastor, amazingly enough. And he contacted me and said, you know, is there anything you can do to help speed up this recovery process in hopes that maybe Darnell can play in the season opener? Now, mind you, he got hurt in fall camp. So in fall camp is about a week to 2 weeks away from the season opener. And so I answered back to coach, and I said, I think so, I think I can. And so then I went back to Evan, who I'm working with, and I said, what do you think? And Evan, just like an excited father, he jumps up and he's trying to pack me up right there and then, and says, oh, by the way, take one of my lasers and go fix them. Go do what you've been trained to do, and what you're destined to do. And that's what Em always talks about, your destiny, your purpose. And so, thankfully, I traveled back to Southern Cal. A long story short, I was able to treat and work on Darnell. It was like, my dad remembers, it's about 4 or 5 days before the season opener. I'm there in front of all the med staff, and Em told me what to say, what to do, and I was saying stuff like, did you check for IRT? And of course, they look at each other like a deer in the headlights, right? What the hell was that? No. And I don't say anything, like Dr. N says, shut up, just keep doing your examination. Did you check for flexor withdrawal pattern? The hell was that? What? So again, make them look stupid, like Dr. M would say, and then treat them and fix them. And so that's what I did. And not only did Darnell actually participate in the game, he actually started and played the entire game.
Nice.
He had 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, a bunch of vicious hits, assisted sack. I remember watching it on TV with my mom and dad before I had to fly back to Overland Park, Kansas, and we were just in joy. And that was a true story, and that's the very first elite athlete I actually worked on personally. And since then, so this is Darnell at SC, and we killed, by the way, Auburn. Thank you. In the SEC, it was the season opener at Auburn. That year, we went 12-1, 7-1 in Pac-10, and we got number 2 in the nation with the coaches poll, number 1 in the AP poll, and we got screwed really royally by the BCS like we always do. And so we had the consolation prize beating up Big Ten opponents, and like I like to say to Jerry, because Jerry's been the victim twice, we just beat up and annihilated Iowa. Michigan, we love Michigan. We love beating Michigan. So, anyhow, so that's the story of how I got started and how I got connected. And since then, the Sahara Clinic has been truly blessed with so many awesome elite athletes all across the country. And not just football now and in the NFL. We actually have 1 gold medalist, Delilah Mohammed. Of course, she's a Trojan. And Bryshawn Nilam, who won the silver medal for the 400-meter relay in the London Games. And I have several other patients from the women's national team for the soccer team. And it's just a blessing and how much my practice has blown into what it's known as, if you're an athlete, you come and see us. So, with that, I'd like to say good morning. Thank you for coming to see me. This is just an unbelievable experience. Never in my wildest minds I'd be here on stage. I come to the ICAK to look at all of you, to absorb all the genius in this room. And like Howie used to say, I steal from all of you guys and I bring it into my practice to be the best patient I can be for my patients and my athletes. And so again, truly, if it wasn't for my mentors, and some of them are in the ICAK, some of them aren't, but I truly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all. So there's some of my mentors. Actually, John Wynn was one of them, and yes, I'm the nerd with the bowl haircut many years ago. My parents were somewhat close to John Wynn, and I really got to learn how to be successful from him from the start with the pyramid of success. And I'm a Trojan, my family's a bunch of Trojans, and when you have that much respect for the Wizard in Westwood, and that's why they sent me to the camps. So this is my graduation picture with my beloved mentors, some of them, and Dr. Tim Francis, Dr. Bertram Foucray, Alex Eddix is there, and of course, Evan. So I asked, after I recovered from the shock that I got selected to be a keynote speaker here at the ICAK, I was urged to talk to Michael Leibowitz. And so I told Michael Leibowitz my concern. I'm not Dr. Clark. I'm definitely not Wally Schmidt. I'm not David Leaf. I'm not John Diamond. I just come here to absorb the information and then make it my own, like I said. And he said, no, there's some things that we want to know from you and learn from you and your experience with athletes. And so this is what I came up with. So the first thing, like I said, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my mentors. You need to choose a mentor that's in the game, not just teaching it. And Dr. M and Dr. Francis were doing it. I wanted to be the best guy for professional athletes, and I also wanted to really take on the tough cases and be that guy in Southern California. And with that, it comes number two. I visualized who I wanted to treat, what did I wanted to treat, who I wanted to treat, what type of practice I had. And I was building that vision all the way through chiropractic school. And then completed it after my samurai training with Evan. And then number three, you have to sacrifice your time, your energy, your money. You can't be the guy for these athletes just being a part-time dude. You just can't. There's many, 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 many nights after hours. Sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night, they would come after practice. I would have to work on one after another after another. Now I tell them I can't do it anymore. Doc's getting old, I always tell them that. But I don't know how many girlfriends I went through because of my practice. Friday night was no date night. Friday was Friday Night Lights. Date night was not available for Saturday because I was on the field or working with the college football players. And then Sunday, well, most people go to brunch and hang out on Sunday fun day. I was flying to treat a bunch of NFL boys. And so I worked 7 days a week, and I did that till pretty much to this day. I have not taken a full vacation since I graduated. But I really feel that it takes that dedication, that love, and that passion to connect with these athletes. Because they're gonna come to you, if you come with them with a card, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so, I can fix you. They're gonna say, oh, nice to meet you, with a nice smile. they're gonna look at it, and then when they go and then you hit them up again, and like, oh, I forgot, can I have your card again? It doesn't work that way. You have to work at the ground level. So that comes up to number 4. I had a network I did. I had a referral network that would funnel me all these patients after a while. After I proved myself that I could fix all these athletes, I found out that all these athletes, they have special trainers, a speed coach, footwork coach, mental coach. Quarterbacks have their own quarterback coach. Offensive linemen now have their own camp. They call it the masterminds. Well, I had all my patients say, hey, you gotta get me into them. I gotta show them what I can do, and you gotta tell them I can fix a lot of these guys. And so they did. And so to this day, now they just send me players all the time. Ask Valerie, from all over the country now. But it took that. And then we worked at the grassroots, Pop Warner. A lot of these kids that are gonna be your future pro athletes, they're starting at 10 years old. That's how crazy their parents are. They have the speed coach, they have all kinds of nutritionists. I mean, they're looking for the edge to make it. And so I went countless hours after hours on the field and to watch them and say, you know, that glute max is off. Let me show you what I can do and prove it to them on the field. And so a lot of those boys now are now in the NFL, which is really, really cool. I call them my kids. I don't have kids. All my patients are my kids. And it's so awesome. It's like a blessing to see them on TV if they can't get me on the field now, because I'm kind of retired of doing that team stuff. But it's a blessing to see them be successful. And you can't put a price on that. And you're part of that, and it's priceless. So, after that, a lot of other schools would come and say, hey, I heard you're the man. You got these magic hands. And so I connected with basketball programs. I connected with other universities. So I was with SC for a long time. Now I'm getting UCLA boys. I'm double dipping. And hey, their money's good too, right? That's what Dan would say to me, right? So Jim Moore's boys were coming to me. And on and on and on, and that's how it starts. But you have to put in the grassroots. These parents talk with other parents of 5-star athletes. They're telling others where to go. But you have to put the time, you have to be out there. There's no such thing as day and night. Number 5, I learned this from Howie Cohn many, many years ago. I almost quit AK. I was like, this is too much study. I hate studying. I was in dental school before chiropractic school, and I hated it. And I looked at Howie after, and he was on Newport Beach Harbor, and of course I'm like, wow, what the heck is this? And Dolan took me, and it really caught my attention of what is possible doing all this stuff. And I remember talking to Howie and saying, hey, what's your formula? How did you do this? And I'll never forget this. I always tell Howie that. And he said, you have to have a constant, perpetual referral machine. And so number 4 was my constant, perpetual referral machine. To this day, some people I don't even know that I'm supposed to see you. I'm on board. They don't even know what I do. So thank you, Howie. I figured that out. I didn't understand it at the time. And for me, this has been my path. And then number 6, this comes from my father. My father is 78 years old. He still works full-time as a dentist. I come from a line of USC dentists and hygienists in the medical background. And I was supposed to be the next big-time family dentist at USC. And I just hated it. I hated it. And I took a year off. And actually, interesting enough, my dad says, I think you should be a chiropractor instead. And I said at that time, I don't want to be a pseudo doctor. I'd rather be a dentist. And I'm a good time Charlie. I don't like to study. Dad, I'm taking over your office and I'm going to get a Ferrari in 2 years. That's what I thought success was. That's what I thought. And my whole world changed when I got into chiropractic school. I found people that are not so weird like me. And I found my niche with AK, and my parents used to see me studying. They never used to see me studying if it wasn't for schoolwork. And I was reading books, and I was copying what all the you grades told me to read and study, and I was on fire. But my dad used to always say, whatever you do, there's no substitute for great work. You have to, even though you're doing all this stuff, you have to be great at it. You have to master your trade, and you have to be fast, and you have to be good. You can't have one or the other. And I've learned that over the years, to be good and great. So that's basically my formula on how really I made it. There's no magic formula. Yes, I've been blessed to have some contacts to start, but if you don't water that contact, I'm telling you, these contacts will just dissolve. You have to constantly educate them and have that grow into something like I've done. And so what I like to do now is demonstrate what I do now with a lot of my athletes. I don't do a lot of basic AK anymore. The format is what Dr. Francis does. This is, and I got his blessings to demonstrate some of his work. This is not a full treatment, but I want to show you maybe some analysis and then stuff that what the 100-hour course showed displays, and then how I'm treating and fixing these athletes. Not too many times I adjust anymore, to be honest with you, even with football players. I've been fixing a lot of trilogy of sprain strings, compact injuries, compaction injuries, doing it a total different way, and it just blew my mind. And it's the way I was treated and the way I beat cancer. So it resonates with me, and it's very, very profound. It's very, very deep. So with that, I'm sorry I couldn't bring a NFL athlete over. NFL starts now. They're in camp, they're in lockdown. So is all the SC boys and the collegiate football and NCAA, as well as even my 5-star guys. It's football season as of last week. So they can't get out of camp, they're in lockdown, but I got a better person, a better athlete. She's gonna be on TV one day. She's an awesome golfer. She's ranked pretty high in our area, the San Gabriel Valley. The parents are so dedicated for her to be successful. I don't know how many years it's been, about 2 or 3, maybe 3. And so she was available, and so I'm very grateful to demonstrate what I kind of do in practice. This, again, is not a treatment. It's not a full analysis, but show you some of the work I'm doing. So, Katie, can you come up, please?